Hi everybody, welcome back to the Remedy Pharm Health Minute. This is Amina, your pharmacist in charge, and of course I have my lovely Susan with me, my clinical nutritionist here.
Hi.
We just did, I guess, part one of two parts of different testing that we can do here at the Remedy Pharm. Resources you may not have known that exist and that you have at your fingertips. We went over the saliva test in the last video. If you haven't seen it, definitely tune into that. We wanted to go over a few more different types of tests.
Right.
Specifically the micronutrient test, the hair
mineral analysis test. We have a GI map, which is test what's going on in your GI tract.
Perfect.
The microbiome. You hear so much about that.
The fit test,
which is a food allergy test.
Oh, there
food
you go.
inflammation of different foods cause
Right.
inflammatory reactions. So it's good to know, even healthy foods sometimes.
Right.
So
that's true.
we can test for that
And
as
then
well.
we also have like an in-depth symptom survey, right?
Right. And then
Okay.
that doesn't require any blood work, obviously.
But it's a really good tool. I've taken it to. It really makes you realize where your symptoms fall.
Yeah.
So let's start with the first one, the micronutrient
The
test.
micronutrient
Susan,
test.
can you tell me a little bit?
Sure. So micronutrient test lets you, it's a blood test.
Okay.
And it really shows where there are imbalances in the nutrition in your body. What nutrients you may be lacking, what nutrients are out of balance.
Okay.
So instead of guessing, people come in with bags of supplements that they've read, well, this is good for that, and so they buy and they end up with this whole closet full of supplements, and they don't know whether they need them or not. So testing is a good way to kind of narrow that down and see what your body actually does need.
Okay, so can you narrow down a little bit what nutrients are on the micronutrient test? Like, for example?
So your amino acids,
Okay.
there are several amino acids which are the building blocks for protein.
Mm-hmm.
Your essential fats, your essential fatty acids. So your omega-3, your omega-6, your omega-9.
Okay.
And then the individual vitamins, your B vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin C, all the
vitamin D
the vitamin
that we hear
D,
so much about.
Yeah, vitamin D is also done regularly in a blood test, but the rest of the nutrients usually are not.
Okay.
The micronutrient test is a little different because it shows actually how your body is utilizing the nutrients. So just because you're taking them doesn't mean that your body is using them the way they need to.
Does that include like absorption?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it shows.
And then, of course, if I know Susan well at all, that means that roll goes all the way back to your gut and your gut health and your gut microbiome.
Yes,
so how it's being absorbed.
Yeah, we'll go into that testing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. I think that's a good start.
I'm sure that tells like a really big part of the story.
Yes.
Okay. So you think that that's a really good baseline. You want to kind of start with that before you just dive in and just buying left and right.
Yeah.
I heard this here. I heard about that there.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's a good point. What about the next one? The hair. What is that called?
The hair mineral analysis is a good test for minerals.
Mm-hmm.
The blood is not as good of a good way to test to see if you are getting the minerals that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So that the hair is kind of the end product.
Okay.
So you can test in the hair what minerals may be lacking, but another value of it is test heavy metals. So which is one of the better ways to test heavy metal toxicity. It's really easy. You just take a hair sample and send it into the lab. So it's not even a blood draw.
Oh wow. Okay, so putting you on the spot a little bit. So let's say you send the hair sample. When it comes back with the report, then what's your next step? Like, for me, would I come to you or do I go to a doctor? What do I do next with that information?
You can go to both. As a nutritionist, I can guide you to different minerals.
Okay.
Every vitamin at the core has a mineral. So if you are lacking in minerals, your vitamins aren't going to work as well.
Oh,
Every gland has a mineral component. So if you're lacking in certain minerals, different glands aren't going to work as well.
Okay.
So we can help guide you to what minerals might be lacking and what you might need.
Okay, that sounds good. So what about that GI map?
The GI map is one of my favorites.
Oh, good to hear.
So as you know, gut health is kind of the healing priority of the body. I always start with all my clients there. If you're not absorbing, you've heard me say a million times, if you're not absorbing, it doesn't matter how.
You could take like a million.
It doesn't matter how well
pounds
you're
of the
eating.
same thing, right?
You can be eating the highest quality foods, taking the highest quality supplements, but if you're not absorbing those nutrients,
It's not doing anything for you.
any good
Yeah.
at all. So the GI map is a stool test. It tells you what kind of microorganisms, bacteria, virus, fungal, are in your body, how well you're breaking down your fats, what the gut immunity is. It
Okay.
tests 70 to 80% of our immune cells are in our gut, our GI tract. So it's a really great place to start for balancing all that.
Okay.
It tells us a
So
huge
who would
story.
be an ideal candidate to get the GI map? Like, is that every single person, or is it like if you're experiencing certain symptoms, you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe the GI map is good for you.
Well, definitely if you're having symptoms, but not everybody who has digestive issues has digestive symptoms. And some of the symptoms people don't relate to their digestion. Skin health,
Oh.
Rashes, acne, joint pain, migraine headaches.
Definitely, I would have never thought.
Yeah. So, just about everybody. If you want to really get to the bases and start with a good nutrition protocol, that's a really good place to start.
And going back to the micronutrient test, would you recommend patients kind of starting the baseline with getting both that and the GI map, typically?
I would start with the GI map.
Okay.
The GI map and another test that we'll go into is a food sensitivity test. Those two work really well together.
Okay.
Because if you're eating foods, I can just go into that. The food sensitivity test tests for 300 or something different foods and food products or chemicals in food. So part of it tests for like additives, preservatives, artificial sweeteners, those kind of things that people don't think of. So it may not be the food itself, but something that's been added to the food. So it tests for that. And even the food itself, like a food that can be perfectly healthy for one person is causing sensitivity in another person. Some of the common ones are dairy, corn, wheat. But even things like I tested for spinach and salmon. Now, you would think spinach and salmon are very healthy, but I eat them all the time. So that's another thing. If you're eating the same foods over and over again, you're more likely to develop a sensitivity to them. And the problem happens when you're eating those foods, it causes inflammation. So it causes GI problems. So if you're working to get your gut healthy, your GI system healthy, and you're adding fuel to the fire,
it would be good to know which test you're sensitive to. Otherwise, you're working so hard and getting nowhere.
Exactly. So
I'm surprised that you said. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I said.
I'm a little surprised you said that the ones that you're sensitive to, you can't really grow out. So it sounds like you don't grow out of the sensitivity.
No,
you don't build a tolerance.
No, that's not true at all.
Okay.
The foods that you eat over and over and over again, you're more likely to develop a sensitivity to.
Oh, that's interesting.
So once you get the gut healed up and the digestion working well, you can add those foods back in.
I see. Okay. And then when you add them back in, do you expect to get another sensitivity to it, or you should be good to go
You
since
should
your
be
gut is
good.
healed?
What we do is it's usually a 3-month protocol to really get the gut healed up. So as the food sensitivity test comes back, either you're mildly sensitive, moderate sensitive, or severely sensitive to a food. And it's aligned. So if you have a severe sensitivity to a food, it shows in the graph it's red. You want to eliminate that food from your diet for 6 months. If you're mildly sensitive, 3 months. And at the end of that 3 months, we add those foods back in one at a time. So you add the food back in. Say if you have 4 foods that come back mildly sensitive, you add the first food in, wait for 3 days. If you're not feeling any reaction, then you should be good with that food. You add the next one in. If you react with joint pain or whatever, then you take that food back out for another 3 months, and then you start testing again.
Oh wow! Okay, so that's really good. It's very very in depth.
Yeah, so it's not like you have a lot of people are sensitive to their most favorite foods.
I've noticed that, and I was going to ask you that next. Is it a myth that the foods that you like the most, do spices come up on this test as well? Okay, so something like spices, if you're allergic or sensitive to it, do you tend to crave it more too?
Yeah.
See that? Oh,
yeah.
My goodness.
Yes. And so if somebody says, I have to have my glass of milk every day, it's just like it's a need instead of I like it.
Yeah.
That's kind of a red flag that it's causing inflammation in your body.
It's really good to know. Okay, do you have any more for me, Susan?
So
Test-wise.
I think we covered
Okay.
pretty much.
Did we want to do the
all of
questionnaire
them.
on this one?
Sure.
Let's do a little bit of the symptom questionnaire.
so
So it's actually pretty cool. I did it once too myself, and I got some really interesting results.
Right.
Tell me a little bit
So
about that.
it's the system. It's called a system or symptom questionnaire.
Mhm.
It targets different organs and systems in our body, like cardiovascular system, the immune system, the GI, the digestion, different. So you'll see questions asked the same in different categories. So I always tell people that I know you.
It might be redundant, but answer it anyway.
It tells us a story. So when you fill out the whole thing, it tells us a story, kind of what areas are problematic.
That's really
cool. It kind of guides us as to where to start.
I love it. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Susan. I hope this information was very helpful for you guys out there. Just know that you have different resources, whether or not you are displaying any kind of symptoms, like we like to say. If you think there's something that you want to talk about, if you have any comments, definitely let us know below. Let us know anything else you want to hear. If there's anything we didn't cover that you're interested in, definitely let us know. Comment, like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. We'll see you next time here at the Remedy Pharm Health Minute.